and welcome to the True Crime Squad. This is Katie Weaver, here with my sister, co-host, and partner in crime, Kristi Brower. We're obviously trying something new today.
Yes, we are. Hey, everybody. I can't believe it's already Wednesday. This week is flying.
It really is. We're trying a bit of travel broadcasting because we have a fair on Wednesdays, and we're running up into a little time crunch, so we decided that we might be able to just start the show on our way home, and then we'll finish it up while we're there. So for the next little bit till this this period is over, that's what we're going to try, so we'll see.
So we're in the car, but hey, we're still us, and we still have lots of true crime to talk about.
Oh gosh. Well, we do, and thanks for covering for me all week.
It's been a bit of a weird week for us.
Yeah, well, Monday I was in Boise with my kids, and then Tuesday, I got home yesterday. I had a whole case really well researched because I was in the car for so many hours, and so excited to bring it, and then got home, and we had no internet. I didn't have internet on my phone or in my house because of some lines that got cut. Yeah, some lines that got cut and some construction going on near my house. So, at any rate, we didn't have internet back until 6:30 this morning.
Right.
So yeah, kind of sucked. But we're excited. We wanted to try streaming this way so that when we are on the road, we might be able to bring you a little more content and live content where we are and stuff like that. So we're super excited that this works.
Yeah, it's kind of our maiden voyage. Hopefully it's not too distracting. Katie has a chauffeur. I do not, so I'm driving, but I can talk about true crime and drive. I can pretty much talk about true crime and do anything. So it's pretty easy.
It's all we do. We don't really have personalities besides true crime, so that's not true.
Well, we do. But it's a lot of true crime. Let's just say that. Uh-oh, Katie's frozen on my side. I wonder if I'm frozen on yours. What? Are you there?
On mine, but then came right back. Come back?
Yep.
Yeah,
we're here.
I can see you.
We just had a little moment. Yeah, I can see you now, too. Okay. And I can hear you. We're good.
Okay. Well, the big news, of course, is that, okay. The big news is that the jury came back, of course, on the Ashley Benefield trial. So do you want to fill us in on what happened there?
Yeah, okay. So Verdict Watch started yesterday and ended yesterday. The jury came back. So what happened is the jury came back and said they were hung pretty quickly because, they only started, closing statements were yesterday. So they came back and told the judge they were hung. I guess the judge gave him a pretty stern talking to. I always worry about this with hung juries, that they're just feeling pressured to get something done. Yeah. So the judge gave him a pretty stern talking to and sent them back and said, well, maybe you just need to go home for the night and come back tomorrow. So instead of doing that, they opted to continue deliberating. And what they ultimately did is they found her guilty of manslaughter. So they could have found her guilty of second-degree murder, and they exonerated her of that and did find her guilty of manslaughter. I don't know. I don't feel very comfortable with it. And, this was a 6-person jury. So to hang with 6 people.
Right.
Whew, I don't know.
There was some decent doubt there.
Yeah. I'm hoping that maybe that'll be good for her in appeal. Because I do think that there's reasonable doubt in this case. I don't know.
Yeah.
At this point, her bail was revoked and she was put into jail. And there, sentencing will come here in a bit. We don't know exactly when yet. And what she's looking at is 11 and a half to 30 years.
Yeah.
You all know how I feel about this case. I'm sickened, honestly. I don't know how they think that the prosecution proved their case.
Yeah.
And right, they went so quickly from hung to guilty on manslaughter. It just, I don't know. None of it feels good to me, but nothing about this trial has felt good to me. I have real animosity for that prosecutor. Honestly, and her statements about, domestic violence is really important, just not in this case. And I was like, yeah, I don't like that at all, considering, all of the things that Ashley had tried to do. And, her testimony, it was very clear to me that she was terrified and that she was afraid for her life. You can't fake that kind of trauma. And people are like, oh, she's just an actress and blah, blah, blah. You don't fake that. That shaking and crying and her physical response of having to tell the story of what happened to her, you can't fake that. Nobody can fake that. So it was disturbing to me, really was. So I'm unhappy about it. I know a lot of you are too. Some of you felt like maybe manslaughter was the right thing. I don't know, man. I've seen so many cases like this where the victim gets villainized, and that's exactly what abusers do, is villainize victims. And I feel like the prosecutor did the same thing to her.
Oh, yeah.
She kept making this statement. Early on in her pregnancy, Ashley decided she wanted to get her baby's father out of her life. Okay. Why do you suppose that?
Right.
Because that's not usually a time in which people want to get their partner out of their life when they're when they're having a baby with that person. I just did not, I didn't find that to be credible at all. Those were just the things that the prosecutor said. They didn't actually find proof of that being the case. And Ashley did try many things to get help.
Yeah.
And Doug literally moved states to follow her and was doing it again. She could not get away from this man.
Right.
And I don't think it's right that now her baby is going to grow up without her.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's such a hard, I hate this standard, where people are like, well, I mean, she wasn't fighting for her life at that moment. Okay, well, if she was fighting for her life at that moment, and maybe she thought she did or was, you don't know.
Well,
but at the same time, when is the right moment? Exactly.
Yeah.
That's such a hard thing. So what? She has to be within an inch of her life. She has to be already shot. She has to already,
Yeah.
What's the limit?
Right,
What's the standard? Because I don't understand it.
He's got to let her kill. She's got to let him kill her or try. He screamed at her, "You're fucking done," and was lunging at her.
Yeah.
What does that say to you?
And she showed him the gun, and he kept coming at her.
Right. I've got a gun. You need to back off. Yeah, she gave him the opportunity, and he just kept coming. What does that tell you?
Right.
That tells me that he was going to harm her, and she knew it. Mm-hmm. It's very interesting how, and this is Florida. Come on, stand your ground laws. Everybody's got the right to defend themselves, except for battered women, I guess.
Yeah, but exactly. So, I'm afraid that applies more to men. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. And yeah, definitely. I don't know. I'm just still pretty sick about it. I don't think that it was a fair trial, and I don't think the verdict's right.
And yet, I wonder if their appeal will turn over any stones. I kind of doubt it does. Yeah.
I doubt it. Well,
Yeah.
Jess, I realized that it's her saying it. It was her physical response, not her words, when she was describing what happened in
Yeah.
court, honestly, that convinced me more than what she said. That
Yeah.
level of trauma, you don't fake that. That's not a fakeable
No.
thing. So that's just where I'm at with it. And you know, you don't all have
Yeah.
to agree with me. That's okay. I'm just saying that's what I think.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see if an appeal turns over any stones or what happens. But
Yeah.
in the meantime, huge news in the Ellen Greenberg case.
Yes.
So Ellen Greenberg, we've talked about this case a million times. This is the teacher who was stabbed a whole bunch of times, mostly in her neck, her back, had a blade buried in her chest, and of course, it was called a suicide, of all things.
Yeah.
And
She stabbed herself in the back of the head. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. She caused injuries to herself that would have paralyzed and incapacitated her arms, and then kept going. So sure, Jan, sure. Yeah. But her parents have been such rock stars, fighting the system ever since, trying to get that verdict, or not verdict, but to get that cause of death looked at again, because it's crazy. They have so many experts that are saying there's no possible way she did that to herself. And yet they have had to fight so hard, but they have finally gotten a court date with the Supreme Court. And
I'm amazed. I am stunned that they've finally gotten to this point. I really thought they've tried so hard and lost so many times.
It's such a mess. But the hard thing is the crime scene was totally destroyed. I mean, there's not much to go on here, but at least maybe they can at least get her death ruled a homicide, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Well, she was living with a boyfriend at the time, Lee, and so, people aren't sure that it wasn't who it was, but she did have a boyfriend at the time. There was a lot of suspicion around that he had relatives in law enforcement, and there's a lot to be said about that case. But the fact that they finally are going to get an audience with their Supreme Court means a lot. And I just really hope for the Greenbergs they get good news here.
I mean, the autopsy itself shows you that she couldn't have inflicted those wounds on herself.
Yeah.
Like, how the hell are you stabbing yourself? Well, and also, wasn't it like, I can't remember exactly, but that some of the more serious wounds, the ones that killed her, are the ones that came from behind.
Yeah.
And so then she just she killed herself and then continued to stab herself. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
No, it makes no sense at all. This is a case that I've been mad about, for all the time.
Forever. And this is an old case. It's not a recent case. It's been around a long time. But man, her parents are relentless and they are amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, so good on the Greenbergs and good luck to them.
Yes,
Do you have something to say?
Yes.
Okay, Mars has something to say. I'm on my headset, so they probably won't hear you.
Hopefully you guys can hear me, but
we can.
True Crime Podcast needs to know that we did just watch somebody get arrested.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we
well,
just
you should have turned the camera around.
There was a bunch of cops. There was a car getting loaded up on a car hauler thing, and somebody getting cuffed and put in the car. So true crime all the time.
Yeah, that is hilarious.
Yeah. Why are we in the car? I'm actually on my road. I'm almost home.
Yeah, I am only just a few blocks from my house too. I'm nearly there.
Yeah. So this was going to be a beginning the show in the car and finishing it at home. But at any rate, so I'm excited about Ellen Greenberg. I can't wait to see what happens there. I think they have ample evidence from the, from all of their experts that really should do some.
Yeah. I think they do. I think they have a
will
really
be
good
able
chance.
that they'll ever solve it. But I mean, I hope so. But there's not enough evidence at this point, in my opinion. But maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
I don't know. I mean, no one's ever actually looked at it as a murder. So
yeah.
So maybe if it's looked at as a murder, they'll find something else. I don't know. I sure hope so.
Yeah. So I'm home, but I think I'll just wait until you get home, and then we can both head off screen and go back, head into our computers.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You guys would die to see the scene with my dogs when I walk in my house. I won't even put you through it, but
yeah, no,
it's
I'll
an
mute
incredible
myself
amount
too.
of howling and carrying on.
Yeah, mine too. It's very loud.
Yeah. Eternity was hoping we were headed to Yellowstone to escape.
Oh, I wish. Not today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I can talk about Jeremy Best if you want me to. The Jeremy Best hearing.
Let's do that. Let's talk about Jeremy Best. We had said we were going to try and stream his hearing, and I hate to admit this, but I completely forgot. But he did have a hearing on Monday.
Yeah.
And the ruling from the judge has already come back, so he worked real hard on that.
Yeah. Yeah, so what happened there is that the defense filed to have the grand jury indictment dropped.
Mm-hmm.
For these reasons. The grand jury did not hear about Jeremy's episode in which he was wandering around in a store in Swan Valley naked on the 30th of November, which it was like 30 degrees that day. They did not hear that Bonneville County's police officers were called and that they had him transported to the hospital. Didn't hear that. They didn't hear that there is no history of abuse or problems in that relationship until that day. So basically, they didn't hear anything that led up to this. That honestly, I can't imagine why that would not be shared.
Right. Indeed. Why would the grand jury not need to hear that? That just completely blows my mind.
How can they consider that to be they're not a bias there if they don't know about all the stuff that led up to that?
Right.
Yep. Unfortunately, the Judge Dane Watkins, came back and said, nah, I don't think the grand jury needed to hear any of that stuff. The indictment.
Pretty much immediately. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, what we're seeing is that this Jeremy Best case is being handled terribly with no acknowledgement whatsoever of his mental health state and the things that led up to those murders.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's saying that what Jeremy did was right or okay, and he clearly needs to be put in somewhere so that, the world is safe from him. But the fact that the grand jury didn't get the information of that entire day is totally wild.
It is. It's insane.
So in their mind, in their eyes, seeing the evidence, he looks like a cold-blooded murderer. And yet, that's really not the whole story, not at all. And now there's a real question about whether or not any of that is going to make it into his trial as well. Any of the mental health stuff. It sounds to me like it's probably not. Good question. I just can't imagine. But we are home, so why don't we go off screen here for a couple of minutes? We'll get into our computers and we'll finish up with everything else we've got. So we'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
Okay. Well, I am back. Just waiting for Kristi now, and she will be here shortly. I see her coming up. Okay. I think we
I'm here.
all righty. Well, here we go. So, anyway, to just finish the Jeremy Best conversation, it's just incredibly frustrating that the grand jury didn't see all of the evidence.
Yeah. I just,
It's hard for me to
it makes
understand
me sick.
why. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. However, we do have better news in the Christopher Dunn matter.
Yes, we do.
So we talked to you guys last week about, last week about the Christopher Dunn. Christopher Dunn was a man that had been sentenced for, had been in prison for, gosh, about 30 years or more than 30 years, for a murder he did not commit, and has been exonerated. Last Monday, he made it in front of the judge due to a prosecutor picking up his case and going, "There's no way this man is guilty." Prosecutor took it in front of a judge who looked at it and said, "Yeah, no, he's not guilty. There's no jury that would possibly find him guilty." And the reason why is because the witnesses, as adults, have now come forward and said, "We didn't, we lied. The police put a lot of pressure on us. We felt coerced. We felt pressured. And they lied. And it was the only evidence they had. He had no idea who the victim even was. And he has this entire time been very clear that he didn't do this." So at any rate, the judge said, "I agree. We're not doing this." And so the he should have been exonerated like that day, last Monday, or at the least Tuesday. And unfortunately, the prosecutor, not the prosecutor, the attorney general in that state told the prison they weren't allowed to release him. And then, of course,
what the hell? With that?
got an emergency order from the Supreme Court, a stay, so that they could take a look at it. All the while that this guy's been exonerated for the crime that he committed.
Yeah, how can they still be
Supposedly
holding him in a
committed.
prison?
So Wednesday, while he was supposed to be being released, I see Sandy is fighting your microphone.
She is. She wants to headbutt it so bad, but I know it causes a lot of extra noise for you guys, so I put my hand on it.
You
so
touching it does too, actually. Creates a lot of noise.
Oh, I'm just putting my hand. I just got my hand on it like this. I don't know. Is that not good?
Kind of sounds like you're wrestling a bear.
I think I'll hold it up here so she can't even get to it. How's that?
There you go. That's a little better. Yeah. So at any rate, with all that being said, yes, Wednesday he was literally filling out the paperwork. His wife was in the car on her way to pick him up, and that call came in that the attorney general was fighting this. Why was fighting this? And at any rate, he was going to have to stay in jail until at least Monday. Well, he stayed in jail till Tuesday in prison.
Yeah.
And finally on Tuesday,
ridiculous.
Thanks to the Supreme Court, he is now exonerated and is a free man. And the governor, because as you know, we brought this to you as well last week, that this isn't the first time he's done this. People are being released for crimes they didn't commit, that have been in prison for 30, 40 years in Michigan. And because of a new law that came on their books in 2021, prosecutors can take a look at these convictions and decide if they think they were just or not. And if not, they can do something about it. Well, obviously, the attorney general in that state doesn't really represent the people or the rule of law very well, because he just keeps trying to get in the way of and block these. 4 of them that we brought to you were black men. One woman, one very mentally ill woman who was really shafted. So, at any rate, yes, the Supreme Court is shutting down these shenanigans, and the governor also made a statement that to the attorney general that this cannot happen again, that they will be respecting the courts and the rule of law, and we won't be doing this anymore. So I hope
Yeah.
that's true. I hope it stands.
I hope it does too. It's terrifying to me that it's been allowed to happen up to this point.
Mhm.
I'm really grateful for Christopher Dunn that he's out, but he's not the only one.
No, and it's really something that the Attorney General can be like, I don't really like that the judge said that, so I'm going to just I'm just going to override it. I'm going to
That's
make this
not how our legal
difficult.
system works at
No,
all.
it's
Judges
not.
have the final say, not attorney generals.
It has appeared that this Attorney General was doing a lot of showing off.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with him as he's running for re-election, and he's in trouble for some other reasons too. I did a little research and was finding that he's in deep water for multiple reasons, and this being a major one. But there's other stuff going on too relating to his campaign. So this guy's a jackass. That's what we know.
Yep, and has no problem keeping or putting innocent people in prison, it seems like. So, yay for Christopher. We really, really hope for his sake that he can now move forward. And I hope he gets a chunk of change out of this to help him do that as well.
He will.
This is a statement from him. He said, "For those who participated in my prosecution, I forgive you," said Mr. Dunn. "I'm not going to forget, but I do forgive you. But at the same time, I've got to move on with my life too." Well, yeah, you finally get to have a life. He went to prison when he was 18. He's never had a life.
No.
He does, however, have a hell of a support system.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he's up for re-election in a hot minute. There was also talk that he's vying for a cabinet position on Trump's cabinet, and he's showing off.
Yeah, that's what that's some of what I had read is that he's doing a lot of stuff to get attention.
Yeah.
Which is really gross.
Yeah.
I did want to say we had a message in Discord regarding Marcellus Khalifa Williams, and he's the one on death row in Missouri right now. And there is a website for a campaign to free him. I just completely lost all my words. Petition and stuff. And I'm going to put it in the chat, but it's freekhalifa.org. And I think we all ought to go click on that. And we are not lawyers. No, we are not. We are true crime podcasters, but I'm a social worker, and we have a lot of experience with this kind of stuff, and we work really hard at doing our research and learning about the legal system so that we can bring more legal system info to you guys. But I'm going to put freekhalifa.org in the chat so that y'all can see it. But go sign his petition, man. We got to get...
Before they execute an innocent man.
Yeah.
How is this even happening? How is it even a conversation?
Right.
I just don't get it. Yeah.
Well, we're talking about people that do not give a shit about human life.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm afraid. And
that's interesting. Danielle said in California, the payout is $140 per day that you were wrongly incarcerated. Oof. Well, that could turn into some big money. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I really hope that they get that. I really hope that he gets a really, really good payout. He deserves it. He deserves it. Obviously.
Every penny.
The relaying of that case is pretty appalling. So, and with Khalifa as well. So, anyway, yeah. Okay. Well, Delphi. So.
Woza.
There's a 3-day hearing en route currently with Delphi. That, of course, is not streamed because Judge Gold won't allow cameras. She doesn't want her eternal shame shown in the courtroom, but it's going to turn into a huge nothing burger. We've talked about this at length, but basically there were 10 different things that the defense were coming to argue, and the state, but mostly it was the defense, because Judge Gold has hardly allowed a trial or a hearing. She just throws She has ignored most of the things that the defense has filed, or she'll wait 5 or 6 months to throw out a little bench ruling without even hearing
Yeah.
any argument at all. When she throws out a ruling, there's no case law cited. There's no any rhyme or reason to it except for that I don't like it. Not doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So,
gross and scary.
yeah. And a lot of what they're talking about is due process violations and Brady violations. The Brady violations being, of course, that the prosecution has withheld a great amount of evidence, as well as potentially exculpatory evidence, but they also are claiming things that don't exist that the defense is quite sure that they do. They have failed to investigate people who the defense feels like they should have investigated.
Mm-hmm.
There's several pieces of evidence that the prosecution says that they just don't have. Some interviews that just they don't know where the video went, they don't know where the audio went. They've just lost some stuff, guys, but that should be fine. That should be fine. It's bad. It's huge screw ups that in another courtroom the prosecution would be getting lambasted for. But in this courtroom, Judge Gold was as disinterested as she could possibly be. In fact, yesterday started an hour late because she wasn't there.
I mean, what?
Yeah. She just.
It's like she knows she can get away with anything that she wants because she already has and has the blessing of the Supreme Court in Indiana. So why not do whatever the hell she wants?
Yeah.
It's so gross and just weird.
Mm-hmm.
How is this happening?
Yep. So one of the things the state's arguing, the defense is arguing, is the confession, because that was over the phone to family members from prison at a time where his mental health was severely affected because of the conditions in which he was being held in a prison. And if you're wondering why a person who's been accused of but not convicted of a crime is sitting in prison, you should wonder. So are we.
Mm-hmm.
They had some safekeeping decision that basically the jail said they just couldn't possibly keep him safe. So he'll just have to go to a supermax prison. So he sat in a supermax prison for quite some while in real rough shape. And so they finally moved him to a different prison. The problem is, besides the fact that he had been terribly mistreated in both places, his attorneys cannot meet with him without an audience. They are not giving them unfettered access to their client because they're a prison. I don't understand that.
A number one violation of his civil rights.
Yeah, but there's guards standing in, listening in. They have him so locked down that they can't even give him a laptop, or even, I think, for a while they weren't even allowed to bring in a laptop. I think that may have changed, but they're very limited in allowing their client to participate in his defense. It's terrible. But at any rate, in the first prison, when his mental health had declined to the point that he was literally eating paper and had lost so much weight he looked like he was suffering from late stage cancer.
And was hallucinating and, he was in rough shape.
Yeah. And he told some people on the phone that, or his wife on the phone, he confessed. And I wondered, Sue just tried to call me and then she showed up in the chat. Well, good. Oh, hi. I'll call you later.
That's funny.
At any rate. So that's one of the things they're, arguing is that that confession, it should not be admissible because of the way it was retrieved and because of his mental health. Yeah. So this is what defense diaries said, and they're in the courtroom. They said the morning session is over. This was today. And the defense has called 2 witnesses, the former warden of Westville Prison and a DOC internal affairs investigator. The defense is attempting to establish that Richard Allen's confinement conditions as a pretrial detainee are so coercive by way of environmental factors that his statements are not voluntary. S.A. Diener argues the state's motion to dismiss Pryor. Dismiss Pryor. I'm thinking of Pryor as a person. Prior to the defense litigating its motion, Diener argued that this is a case of first impression and that the defense is asking the judge to create a new law as there exists no precedent wherein an environmental factor was so coercive that it amounts to the equivalent of custodial interrogation. She also argued that the motion was overbroad and that Richard Allen's confessions to his family over a recorded line cannot be construed in any way that would involve state actors. Well, yeah, sure, there's no law, because usually people that are accused of a crime are either out on bail or they are in jail, a very different setting. Of course, there's not.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, Gran. I agree. They're mentally breaking him.
Yeah.
I honestly think that the prosecution's best case scenario in their minds is that Richard Allen dies in this freaking supermax, and then they can just posthumously convict him, and then they move on as the heroes because they've not ever been able to solve this case, or they know exactly who did it and they're protecting them because there's a lot of corruption going on.
It's a mess. So tomorrow they're going to be arguing the third-party culprit defense. What that is that the state has filed a whole bunch of stuff about what they think that the defense should not be allowed to say at trial.
Oh my God, this killed me.
And this is one of them. They're saying that there is absolutely no way that the defense should get to say that they think that other people may have done this and cast any doubt on whether or not Richard Allen is actually guilty.
Hello? That's why you have a defense. What the hell?
Yeah.
That's, just more violation of his rights. He has the right to present alternatives to the crime.
Yep. So essentially, so far, on everything that's been argued, the judge has basically said she'll take it under advisement. So if she throws a single bone to the defense here at all, I'm going to be super, super surprised. I don't see
She
it.
won't. That's just the thing.
Yeah.
This whole thing around Odinists and that the guys that were guarding him in the prison were Odinists and were wearing a patch on their uniforms and allowed to do that in a state prison because they're a part of this group. I think they're all a part of it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. It is the craziest thing I have ever seen. Even if the defense is precluded from, putting on a defense, I still wonder what the jury will think. Well, they're going to have a hell of a time picking a jury, though they probably won't, because I think Judge Goh will, probably make it pretty damn easy to go ahead and march in there and, select a jury that may or may not be very fair. And I fear for Richard Allen because I don't think that the Supreme Court is going to help him at all. They've made it pretty clear that they're not.
No.
So
this is going to have to go federal, I'm afraid, before there is any relief in this situation.
If there ever is.
There's so much writing on this. I don't know if y'all remember, but from when Abby and Libby were found, every year they would come on and do a press conference on the anniversary. The local officials would. And they would make this big deal about, here's the progress we've made this year, and we're working on this, and we care about Abby and Libby's families, and we're going to find, And then they had a whole bunch of suspects that never amounted to anything, according to them.
Yeah.
But there's so much pressure in Indiana and in that area to solve these cases. They're going to do whatever it takes to get somebody. But how can we possibly know if Richard Allen is guilty or not guilty? There's not been anything presented that indicates that he is at all.
No. No. The original arrest warrant was so weak. And one of the things that the prosecution that the defense has fought this whole time is the search warrant to Richard Allen's house. Because the premise of getting it was a lie. And they have tried and tried to prove that it's a lie, but they filed for a Franks hearing now 4 times. And it just continually is either ignored or denied way eventually down the road. They've also filed for another Franks hearing now, last week, and they're waiting to hear what's happening here.
Yeah.
I just don't even know what to say on it anymore. So we'll keep an eye on that. There's been more information come forward in the Gavin Peterson case, and I will say we've been contacted by a few family members or family friends that are hurting, that are shocked, that shared with us more information, pictures, things like that, which we appreciate very, very much. And
Yes.
we're not going away on the Gavin Peterson case. We're going to follow it into
we are not.
infinity. But his bio mom did an interview. Do you want to tell us about it?
Yeah, let's do. I mean, yes, I do. So we know that Biomom was not in the picture, and we knew that there had been a drug problem or something in the past, and that's why Dad had custody, but we didn't really know, like, the full story. And so she's come forward to share her side of things. Her name is Melanie Peterson. She is absolutely devastated. She is stunned that Shane Peterson would do this. She said that she did not expect that he would be like this, except that she knew there were problems. So here's what happened. Back in between 2014 and 2015, Melanie Peterson lost custody of all 4 of her children.
Mm-hmm.
She pleaded guilty in November of 2014 to a drug-related charge of permitting a child or vulnerable adult to be exposed to, inhale, ingest, or have contact with a controlled substance, chemical substance, or drug paraphernalia, which was a 3rd-degree felony. Mm-hmm. She was smoking pot in front of her children. And leading up to this, in August of 2014, Gavin, who was 2, was found walking alone outside, unsupervised. And when when a police officer located Melanie, because they had Gavin and were trying to find his family, he discovered a loaded marijuana pipe was sitting on a shelf in the front room. So basically, she had exposed her kids to marijuana. That's what this all comes down to.
Yeah.
She completed terms of her sentencing. I don't even think she actually went to jail. She went to treatment, did a bunch of community service. She did serve a little bit of jail time, but not a lot. Went through all the stuff that she was supposed to do. And she completed an early recovery skills program. And she went through everything that she was supposed to do. She also got and kept a job. She did all the stuff that she was supposed to do in hopes of being able to get her children back.
Yeah.
She said that she was not ever able to regain custody of them through the courts, though.
Yep.
But in 2018, she got a text from Shane offering to let their 3rd child come live with her. So she got the 3rd child back. Gavin is the youngest. And then in 2019, on Memorial Day weekend, Shane just dropped off their 2nd oldest at her house.
Yeah.
This child was malnourished. Their hair was all cut off. And told Mom about some really bad conditions with Dad and stepmom. She says, this is Melanie saying that what her kid said is that Nicole trapped them in a room. The lock was on the outside, and that her daughter couldn't get out.
Yep.
That she zip tied them to their beds, that there was cameras to catch if they did anything that they weren't supposed to do. And that if she did get out of her room, that it would be on camera.
Yep.
And listen to this. She wasn't able to eat anything. Only 1 meal a day, and it was smothered in mustard because all the kids ate mustard. Remember, little Gavin was fed 1/3 of a cup of water and a piece of bread with mustard on it. That's what he got to eat every day.
If he got that. Yeah.
So when her daughter reported all this, she called Weber County Sheriff's Office in Utah And they referred her to the Department of Children and Family Services. She says that social workers from DCFS did interview her daughter eventually, but nothing was ever done. Melanie said they told her that without signs of actual physical abuse, that they could only just give therapy to the child, and that they never did do like a medical examination of this child, who she felt was malnourished at the time that she got her back. So they wouldn't do anything for her. And of course, this all sounds very familiar.
Yeah.
In relation to what we now know was happening with Gavin.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And they were just allowed to do it.
Yeah.
Other family are saying that they also had called DCFS multiple times.
Yes, that many family members were called ever done. This. Yeah.
Yep.
So many people, not, and we know about the school lunch people and their attempts to help him. But it just didn't seem to matter. Nobody was getting involved when it came to authorities. The last time that she was allowed to see Gavin was in 2020, and she took a picture of him because he looked so skinny. She wanted to take him in to see a doctor, but didn't have custody of him, so couldn't do that.
Yeah.
So what happened is, because she got some visitation starting in 2019, but after they get Nicole and Shane found out that she took that picture, they made a false complaint against her to end her visitation. They lied about her. I don't know exactly what they said, but they said something that stopped the visitation because they didn't want her taking photos of him.
Yeah.
And, then it was the pandemic, and she was trying to work her way through the courts, and things just stalled because that's what happened with the courts.
Yep.
During COVID. And so she was never allowed to see him again or have any visitation.
Yeah. And these evil bastards were allowed to starve him to death instead.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Hey, Lee, neither of us have a timer going off. We just occasionally have a beeping sound in our background that some people hear and other people don't hear. And we don't know who it's coming from.
It's just the gremlins. We don't know.
Fought that effing thing until I can't even tell you.
Yeah.
So thank you for noticing. Some people hear it, other people don't. We don't know why that is. Yeah. We also don't know what's making this out. It's so weird. It's a very odd thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the system failed this family in a horrible way. And this mom was just not allowed to do anything about it. And even when she tried, and this is Utah, and I mean, her charge was marijuana, you guys.
Yep. But this is Utah.
And so they're going to see that like it's hard drugs. You got to understand the way we were raised in Idaho and Utah, all drugs are hard drugs,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's just bizarre, and it's gross and awful.
The DARE program.
Poor little Gavin is dead.
Yeah. The DARE program in our state is so bastardized that my kids taking DARE came home from school sobbing because they thought their mom was doing drugs because she was drinking coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Legit. I'll give you an example of how weird it is here in Idaho, and it's like this in Utah too. We have a booth at this little farmers market on Wednesdays, which is why we did the first half of the show on our phones. Well, there's a little booth there. You'd think there'd be a little coffee hut, right? Pretty much every farmer's market's got a coffee hut. No, they have a cacao hut. They roast and grind cocoa beans
Mhm.
and make every coffee drink you've ever seen in your whole life, only instead of it being out of coffee, it's out of cocoa beans.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Mormons are terrified of coffee for a reason no one will ever understand,
Mhm.
because it's not even true.
Yeah.
So
It's
weird.
wild. Yeah. Yeah. Weed is legal in some states, and it is legal. You can get a medical card in Utah. It's very limited, but you can. But back then you couldn't.
Yeah,
So
back
either
then it
way.
was totally illegal.
And I think
Yeah.
even then you can't smoke it, right? It's only edibles in Utah. I
Yeah,
think
it's
that
only
might be wrong,
edibles.
but that's what I
Yeah,
think.
you cannot have flour.
So we'll continue to keep an eye on that, but our hearts go out to her. I can't even imagine. Yeah,
I know. Me
it's
either.
crazy,
Gran says I abuse chai every day. Oh, I abuse coffee every day.
right?
Every day.
Every single day.
But is the cacao good? It actually is. It's quite
Mhm.
good.
Mm-hmm.
It's very similar to coffee. It just tastes more like chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
It's just wild. It's
It's
typical
just a weird
for
thing
here.
that there are
Mhm.
actual coffee, there are actual cacao uh cafes instead
Uh-huh.
of coffee cafes. Like,
Mhm.
really. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Wild.
not a coffee replacement though. Yeah, agreed. Right?
Oh,
Coffee and wine? How would I live without those two things? I do not know. Agreed, GSI.
Salawalaway says you actually can have flour. You just have to dry herb vape it. Oh, okay.
Oh,
Interesting.
jeez.
So there you
Yeah,
go.
the rules are so dumb that it's
Mhm.
almost pointless.
But let's stay in Utah for a minute and talk about our old friend Nick Alerian. He was in court
Oh.
last Friday, and something pretty interesting was said by the prosecutor.
Ooh.
So apparently, the public defender has objected to a broad request from the state that she be prevented from sharing all of the evidence that prosecutors have against Alerian. Why? Here's why. Clint Heiner, the prosecutor, said, "Our concerns are about not just the integrity of this case, but some of the information we will be disclosing actually could hamper investigations in other cases that are happening, not only just within the continental US, but also overseas. There are still some pending investigations that may or may not be occurring in other jurisdictions outside of Utah as well as over in Europe." Is he going to get more sexual assault charges in other states?
Makes you wonder. We know there's another one pending in London.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
But
That
what
is
else?
very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This dude is such a feckin' monster.
He
Yeah.
is.
Oh, did we read his obituary? Yeah, we did. When we did our initial story on him a long time ago, we had published that. Yeah. It's so crazy.
It'll be the case in Essex, UK, Lydia says.
There's that one. But there was also Lydia says that's going on in London, where she's at. Yeah. There is that one, but it sounds like there may be something, yes, in Rhode Island. There's also he had $200,000 worth of credit card debt that he'd run up in his ex-stepfather's name
Yes.
that there was also going to be charges on. So he's got charges all over the place.
Well, and didn't
Yeah.
he embezzle some money from some other organization too?
Mhm.
So many.
Oh, yeah.
Lydia says we have had 5 documentaries about him on Channel 4 recently, so it's heating up. That is
Interesting.
wild.
Yeah.
This dude, I'll tell you. I don't know.
Mhm.
Who's going to get to house him?
Right. Right. Who knows? It looks to me like he's going to probably bounce around from one jurisdiction to another for a hot minute. Yeah. Thank you so much. My 2
Mhm.
cents. The super chat is
Yes.
on. If you feel drawn to contribute, we appreciate it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. There were some stories about him out of Massachusetts. Yeah. Yes. All over the place.
Yes, yeah, and then there's the foster parents. There's some stuff related to that, which is his connection to Utah. Well, one of his connections to Utah.
Uh-huh.
Initially, when they extradited him back, there were 2 sexual assault cases in Utah, and one of them has been dropped now, but they're going forward with the other one.
Yeah. Lydia said, get a VPN and watch them. The tone of them is hilarious. They mock him. Oh, I have to. I have to.
I want to. Because that's, we as well mock him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well, there you go. There's been a little bit of movement there. I've been waiting for something. There just hasn't been
Right?
anything about him in a minute, but now we know.
Yeah. That's very interesting. Now they're trying to juggle cases in multiple states and in multiple countries. That's a lot.
Mhm.
You're right, Jess. We need a world map and the pins and the red string. We're going to need all of that for our friend Nicholas Alerian,
We really
which is
do.
his actual legal name.
Mhm. Is it, or is it Nicholas Rossi?
No, it's Alerian.
Albertian is
But
the-
he's gone by Rossi for a really long time, but his actual legal name is Alerian.
Uh-huh.
And you know, who the hell knows, because he has so many aliases.
Uh-huh.
I do have, there is a Nick Not Arthur. There is a song, actually.
That's true. Yes.
I don't know that I've shared it. Have we shared it yet?
I don't think so, and I think it's in our
Let me see.
queue. It is.
Well, would you like to hear the Nick Not Arthur song?
I would think so.
Because I put one together. Let's hear it.
Nick was a man with a troubled past. He faked his death, thought he was free at last. Flew to Scotland with a brand new name. Called himself Arthur, played a clever game. Arthur's got a mystery, Nick's the man you'll never see. Caught in Scotland's history, who is he supposed to be? Arthur's got a mystery, Nick's the man you'll never see. Sent back to Utah, he'll face the jury. Arthur donned the cloak and spoke with flair. Old English accent filled the air. Pretended to be sick with oxygen to share. In a wheelchair, he rolled everywhere. Arthur's got a mystery, Nick's the man you'll never see. Caught in Scotland's history, who is he supposed to be? Arthur's got a mystery, Nick's the man you'll never see. Sent back to Utah, he'll face the jury. Nick's reflection stared back at him in the cell. Arthur's story was starting to swell. 2 lives tangled in a web of deceit. Could Nick ever admit his defeat? Back in Utah he stood in court, insisting he's Arthur in Old English thought. Thee hath wronged me, he did proclaim, but the evidence was clear, 'twas all a game. Arthur's got a mystery, Nick's the man you'll never see. Caught in Scotland's history, who is he supposed to be? Arthur's got a mystery, Nick's the man you'll never see. Sent back to Utah, he'll face the jury. Nick's got his trial, the truth is out. Arthur's gone, without a doubt. Now he faces what he ran from before. Nick and Arthur, there'll be no more. Oh my love, my friend, you know, it's been a while without thinking of you, but the thought makes me smile. I'm so tired of wanting more than this. I know it, but what am I to do? I need some space.
That's it. Sorry. It has a problem. That video has a problem.
It got some old verses wrapped in, but that is funny as hell. Yes.
Yeah. I loved it. Loved it. Yeah. And yes, in the style of They Might Be Giants, if you all are as old as I am, you know what I mean? It just came to me like it's got to be a They Might Be Giants song.
Yeah.
Mhm. Oh, Tubbs says 100% can see this on Broadway. Many Arthurs. Yeah.
Mhm.
How do you play it with lyrics on SoundCloud? I am sure there's a way.
Is there? Maybe there
I
is.
don't know.
Well, I wonder in the description if we could just put the lyrics.
We probably can. I never really thought of that, but we could put
We
the lyrics
probably
in.
could. We'll go and look at it because I agree. You probably want to see him. So I think we should end the night with one more viewing of the Ballad of John Pryor, just for fun.
I'll tell you what, the Ballad of John Pryor is over 100 listens over on SoundCloud now. We got a badge for our song.
It's trending. It's trending. But it's been a real heavy last couple of true crime weeks, so
Yeah, let's get some laughs in.
yeah. All right. Well, here we go.
In the land of Idaho, where the spuds grow tall, lived an attorney named John, who answered justice's call. He took up the case of Chad Daybell, oh so grim, defending a tale that was dark and dim. Quite frankly, Judge, I'm just doing my best. Who are the 7 gatherers? They are the ones that caused this mess. I'm an idiot when it comes to technology, but I'll fight for Chad with all my might, you see. There were rogue raccoons and paintball guns so wild, a hostile real estate agent, and a client with a resting toad face, not mild. In a house without a second story, the drama did unfold. The voluminous evidence, all the stories it told. Quite frankly, Judge, I'm just doing my best. Who are the 7 gatherers? They are the ones that caused this mess. I'm an idiot when it comes to technology, but I'll fight for Chad with all my might, you see. Lady Melanie Gibb, where does it end? In this twisted saga, who can we defend? The jury sits silent, the gavel comes down. John Pryor stands firm, never backing down. The evidence was tangled like a yarn ball of lies, but John spoke with fervor, fire in his eyes. With rogue raccoons and agents, oh what a sight. In the heart of Idaho, on a cold dark night. Quite frankly, Judge, I'm just doing my best. Who are the 7 gatherers? They are the ones that caused this mess. I'm an idiot when it comes to technology, but I'll fight for Chad with all my might, you see. So here's to John Pryor, the lawyer so bold. In the annals of Idaho, his story's been told. With rogue raccoons and a hostile estate, he fought for Chad Daybell, sealing his fate.
It's a bop. It's a bop.
It is a bop. It is a bop. People over on SoundCloud really loving it. Yep. Will he enter his next courtroom appearance to this song? It will become his walk-up song for every opening statement. I have no idea. Can you imagine if he ever hears that?
The hot girlfriend is one I missed. There was a few things Scott and I were thinking of the other day that should have been in there.
Have we emailed it to him yet? No?
We don't know if we're friends.
We don't know. I mean, we've spoken directly to him through this podcast for years, but I
and we
don't
made
know.
eye contact and said hi in court a few times.
We have. I don't know, but I think it's actually sort of complimentary to him, honestly.
Well, he
did his best. He did his best with what he had. And he is an idiot with technology, and he knows it as well as we all do.
He said it in court. But also, who are the 7 gatherers, goddammit?
Right.
Write a song
for Judge Gull.
She deserves it. Yeah. Would we be mad if someone anonymous did? I don't care. No.
Please, someone anonymously send it to him. It's just so damn funny.
Oh yeah, wishing he had a 30-inch waist. That's a good one.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
We may end up having to have a part 2. I just don't know.
Well,
poor Archibald and Thomas, they just weren't funny enough. I
we don't
much
have
to
a song
say.
for them.
Yeah. Well, we could make a whole song out of Thomas's statement in Lori Vallow's sentencing.
Oh my God.
I feel like I could just take the transcript of that and run it through our AI generator and probably come up with a song that would be just as baffling as what he said was. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, yes, there's something. There's a fly in my office.
Oh, is there?
Lisa said she saw something flash before my eyes. I'm like, me too. Yes. Well, I loved the Nick song. That was funny as hell. Loved them both.
Yeah. And yes, someone said, "Oh, it really wasn't. They might be trying." No. I wrote the lyrics and with the help of AI to put it in the right format, and then we're using an AI music generator that we put our lyrics into, and it gives us the voice and the music, and we kind of pick the genre and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. We put a lot of them together that would. Yeah, we should have made a reference to Mark Means too. It's true. I mean, Mark Means could have his own song, the compilation of him getting kicked off the case.
Oh God, yes.
With lots of air quotes, many misspellings. Yes.
Maybe a I fought the sheriff kind of feel.
Yeah. I like it.
I know there's more coming. We bought a year subscription to this thing.
So there's more coming.
Because it's hilarious and we know there is more coming.
It's true. Yeah. Now, we have a little fun with true crime, and that occasionally offends someone.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that. I understand that the subject matter that we cover is really heavy. And I also understand that sometimes it just takes a little humor to get through it. And is it dark humor? Yes. But I want you guys to know how deeply we feel for and respect the victims and their families. It is never, ever our intention to disrespect them in any way whatsoever. But here we are. I think true crime, and there are those that really, are not fans of true crime because of sensationalism and things. And I think that true crime has some real growth to a lot of ways. True crime as a general can grow. Watching true crimers absolutely destroy each other over the Karen Reed case has been astonishing to me.
Yeah.
Just astonishing.
I don't get it.
But I also think that true crime has its place because true crime gives us an opportunity to discuss like this. It gives people an opportunity to learn more about the justice system in the U.S. and in other countries as well. I think throughout the course of this podcast, we have all learned a lot about, and not enough, about justice systems in other countries. That's been really fascinating. I think we all can, think about things that we didn't know about our own justice system that you do now. And frankly, anytime you see people on the news talking about, well, much of anything, you discover how little Americans do not understand about our own justice system, about the Constitution.
Yeah.
It's pretty astonishing. So I think because of that, true crime has a spot. It has a place. There are stories to tell. But I do want to say that we never want to be disrespectful, but we don't want to. Yeah.
No, and whenever we do bring levity into something, it's not because we're minimizing anybody's pain or loss at all.
Ever. Yeah. Oh yeah, Sarah's letters was a hoot. Yeah, we're not done with Sarah by any stretch. Kaylin said, I won't even utter the name Karen Reed. I know. It's why we didn't even cover the Karen Reed trial. Now we are because we're idiots. But but we'll be real factual because the way I've seen true crimers destroy each other, relationships completely destroyed, friendships, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. I don't ever want it to be like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, first responders use a lot of dark humor. of course.
Mhm.
Yeah, my God, with what they see.
So do social workers.
Yeah.
You
hmm Yeah. So, so do daycare employees, just so you know.
know. Yeah, I bet.
And anywhere we go, to be fair.
Well, that is true.
Well, we have a good squad. We certainly do. So that's what we've got tonight. We'll be back tomorrow. I have a great case for you that I just really wanted to give you yesterday and couldn't. So I have a really interesting case out of Utah yet again. Utah, why? Utah, you are not okay. I mean, Idaho's not okay.
Why are Utah?
My God, you are
Don't
not
know.
okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's so much. Do we have a take on the Karen Reed trial? I have questions. I do. The amount of corruption coming out of that police department, not just in that case, but in two others, in Sandra's case, and there's one other that all have some serious issues with the telling of the truth, really makes me
Yeah.
worry. What's up?
I'm really surprised that they're retrying. I really am. With all of the investigation going down with the detectives in the case,
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand how they can take their evidence and their information that they gathered in that case and think that they, with a straight face, can still use it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for your watching pleasure, if you have Netflix, go watch Bodkin.
Oh, yes. It is
It is
hilarious.
wild. It's funny. It's deep. It's crazy. It is. It's not a documentary. It's just a. Would you call it a sitcom? I don't know. It's a series. We'll call it a series.
It's a series, yeah.
It's a series, and it's set in a little tiny town called Bodkin in Ireland. And it's a true crimer and his two, a journalist and his researcher that all come to the town to research an old crime. And holy shit, I could not stop watching it. Scott and I stayed up half the night because we just ended up watching the entire thing in one day. Anyway,
Yeah.
Bodkin, go watch it. You're welcome. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good time.
It is a way great time. Yeah. Yeah, will it ever get to trial? I mean, it's scheduled, but will it, Karen
It's
Reed?
scheduled.
Sorry.
I was
Kinda went off
surprised
the rails.
they said they were going to do it, and then when they immediately put it on the schedule, I was like, man, are they really going to try this?
They say they are, but they sure do have a lot of obstacles right now with the officers that are losing their jobs, that are being investigated.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
How can they use their evidence? If they're, found, if there's corruption found, or any of them are, permanently terminated and all that stuff, how can they use their stuff in this case if this case is what got them kicked off the job? Like, it just, that does not track for me at all.
No.
So, yeah.
We'll see. It's going to be wild. All righty. Well, if you guys would please like, share, not file. You can't even do that. Like, share, comment as you do. We appreciate that a lot. If you want to tip us, you can do that at True Crime Squad. I know. I'm all discombobulated. I don't know. It's going to be okay.
It is going to be okay.
So
we have 2 brand new Patreons coming out in the next 15 minutes after we get off this show.
Yes, I did a summer extravaganza of Florida Man. Not
Pretty
to be
awesome.
missed. Yes.
I did a less hilarious but also important debunking of crime myths.
You'll be surprised some of the things you've always been told that are flatly untrue about crime.
Yeah.
Yep. Have I seen
It's
Wicked
important.
Little Letters? No.
Wicked Little Letters. Ooh.
Yeah.
I need to look that up now? Probably
so, yeah. Yep. Alrighty, well, we'll be back tomorrow at 3 for our last live of the week. And yeah, watch for those Patreons. They're great. You don't want to miss them. Alrighty, well, thanks for being here. This has been yet another production of the True Crime Squad. Take care.
Bye, everybody.